We are checking out the new Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 Pro 5G. Now, if you happen to be from China, you're probably already familiar with this phone. A Chinese-specific version of the Redmi Note 11 Pro was released a couple of months back, but this device here is the global, international version of the phone, and it does have a few slight differences that I'll talk about in this video. Of course, this phone is also the more powerful, the more feature-packed, bigger brother of the regular Redmi Note 11, and I'll point out some of the specs that make this the Pro device too. There's definitely a lot to go over here, so I won't waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and get right into it and see what the new Redmi Note 11 Pro has to offer. So first things first, I do just want to quickly go over the unboxing experience here so you know what to expect when you buy one. Pulling off the lid, the first thing you'll see is a thick packet of stuff with the "Powered by Redmi" slogan printed on the front. And inside this first package, you've got your SIM ejector tool fashioned right there outside if you need it, as well as the usual stack of paperwork and instructions, and a couple of accessories for the phone too. Included here are a screen protector that you can install yourself, and a clear rubber case to protect your new phone. And both of these are great little add-ons to have thrown in. Next up is the phone itself, of course. We'll set that to the side for just a second, and digging a little deeper inside the box, you'll see the final two accessories. There's a USB-A to USB-C wall plug and a massive 67-watt fast charger. Now this is definitely a standout feature of the Note 11 Pro. You can juice up to 50% in just 15 minutes or 100% in just 45 minutes. So a great setup for sure, and given how so many other phone manufacturers are ditching the included chargers altogether, this is a particularly nice addition to have. So with all that stuff out of the way, here is the new Redmi Note 11 Pro once again. Mine is in the graphite gray color, by the way. It also comes in polar white and Atlantic blue color options, and before we get friendly with the phone itself, I want to just mention pricing here because this, I think, is one of the selling points for this phone. Now, the global version of Note 11 Pro will start at $329 for the 64 gig model with 6 gigs of RAM. For $20 more, you can get 128 gigs of storage, and the highest spec option for this phone, 128 gigs of storage with 8 gigs of RAM, will run you about $379. So definitely on the more affordable side of the smartphone pricing spectrum, and if you're interested, I'll leave some links down below in the video description to where you can get this phone at its cheapest current price. Physically, the new Redmi Note 11 Pro is a big device, and that's no doubt one of the ways it separates itself from the regular Note 11. At 6.67 inches, it's in fact one of the larger phones you can buy just in general, though in the hand it actually doesn't feel too big because you do have a relatively high 86% screen-to-body ratio. With fairly minimal bezels all around and just a slight bottom chin, you're getting pretty much all screen. And the center hole punch selfie camera finishes off the sleek and high-end look. Around back, the smooth matte finish on the Redmi Note 11 Pro is all glass. Again, something you don't usually find on many devices nowadays, and especially not at this price point. The frame is a color-matching matte aluminum that's nearly completely flat, and in the hand, the thin profile and slim form factor make the phone feel premium and comfortable, albeit exactly like an ice cream sandwich, though personally I do like the overall design. Taking a closer look at everything else, nothing really on the left side of the phone. On the right, volume buttons and a power button that also doubles as your fingerprint scanner. At the bottom, a combination dual SIM and SD card slot, which is great to have, alongside the USB-C port for charging and downward firing speaker. Up top, there's even more good stuff, including a headphone jack, the secondary speaker, and an IR blaster. And around back, a pretty funky looking triple lens camera setup, which I'll talk more about in just a minute. Quickly jumping back to the fingerprint sensor though, this is a great addition to the phone and works fast and flawlessly. Placement is solid, the speed is there, and I'm glad to have it. You also have face unlock as an option as well. This is a little slower by comparison, but I think either way, you should be able to get into this phone with ease. And as far as the out loud listening experience goes, the relatively unique dual speaker setup with 2 actual full-size speakers there on the top and bottom of the phone is a fantastic take on the dual setup sound experience. Now, these are not the JBL tuned speakers from the China version of this phone. They're just regular speakers, I guess, but either way, a fantastic setup and great out loud full-size dual speakers nonetheless. When it comes to the viewing experience, the massive 6.67-inch display on the Redmi Note 11 Pro is packed with all the top-tier features you expect to find on a phone maybe twice this price. You get a Super AMOLED panel with HDR10 support, coming in at a resolution of 2400 by 1080 and packing in about 395 pixels per inch, up to 1200 nits at peak brightness for some prime outdoor and direct sunlight viewing, and this is also a 120Hz high refresh rate panel as well, which gives you that fast, fluid, and silky smooth user experience. Altogether, this is a phone that truly offers a display setup that far exceeds its price point in my opinion. Not only is it big, bold, bright, and colorful, it's also very responsive, and it's really the perfect combination of specs to deliver a great viewing experience for just about all of your content. Just remember to choose that 120Hz option in settings when you're setting up the phone, as it's not enabled by default out of the box for whatever reason. Altogether though, I'm really impressed by the display setup on this phone, and honestly, if you need just one reason to consider this device, this is pretty much it right here. Now inside, this global version of the Redmi Note 11 Pro is powered by slightly different specs compared to the China version, and I actually think this is where some people might be a little unhappy. You get the Qualcomm Snapdragon 695 5G chipset inside, instead of the MediaTek Dimensity 920. And like I mentioned earlier, the choice of 6 or 8 gigs of RAM and 64 or 120 gigs of storage, though similarly, again, the China version gets you more, starting at 128 gigs and jumping up to 256. Now, even with those bumped down specs, I still do consider this phone to be relatively powerful, but I can see why some people might be a little confused and perhaps somewhat disappointed in sort of downgrading this phone's specs from seemingly the same device that was already launched. This phone ships with MIUI 13 on top of Android 11. I'm unsure when Android 12 will come to it, but out of the box, Xiaomi offers a great default setup, albeit with enough pre-installed apps to still make you crazy, which, yeah, they should stop littering the phone with these junky games and things, but it's no big deal to just uninstall them. In addition to Xiaomi's own flavor and flair, you get the standard array of Google-supported apps and services as well for some familiarity, and all in all, this is a device that I consider to be plenty powerful enough for just about anything. Like I said though, the biggest takeaway is just that by comparison, you are losing a little bit of value with the specs versus the Chinese Note 11 Pro, and it's sort of weird to have the two different versions of the same phone. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the standout features of this device is its super fast charging capabilities. Now pair that with the huge battery inside and you've really got plenty of opportunity to stay unplugged. This phone is powered by a massive 5000 milliamp battery inside, so it should be an all-day device and then some, and I'll look forward to putting that to the test here soon. But either way, having to be connected to the charger for all of 30 minutes to juice back up is really not a big deal at all. Finally, let's talk cameras. Now up front, this new Note 11 Pro offers a 16 megapixel selfie shooter, which is pretty respectable. And around back, the double stacked camera module sticking out there packs 3 different lenses, though the setup honestly looks like it maybe should have more. There's a 108 megapixel f1.9 aperture main lens, another spec that separates this Pro version of the phone from the regular, an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 2 megapixel macro. Now that setup as a whole is pretty solid, and inside the camera app you get a nice array of shooting modes and features that really make the most of just about everything. Some of the standout things you'll see include a dedicated long exposure option, dual video support, night mode, document scanner, and the full 108 megapixel mode to capture all the details in your shots. Taking a couple quick sample pictures here just to test things out, I definitely like the look of the rear camera setup. You get tons of detail, good skin tones, a really balanced and true to life looking shot for sure. The selfie camera to me is maybe not as good as I expected, a bit blurry and void of detail, perhaps a little too saturated as well, but I'll be sure to put it to the test in my full review. Still, the camera setup on this phone is yet another standout feature set, and certainly as something that differentiates it not only from the regular Note 11, but also similar phones in its price range. All in all, I think there's plenty to like about the new Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 Pro. The price is right for sure, and at well under $400, you get a big phone with a feature-packed display that offers an excellent viewing experience, solid build with dual full-size speakers and crazy fast charging speeds. Sure, the internal specs get a slight downgrade from where they should be, but if that's the only complaint, I think you still have something worth considering. But what do you guys think about the new Redmi Note 11 Pro? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know your thoughts, of course.